In the October 2010 issue of Vogue, a reader expressed his concern about a featured photograph. Quote, "Though Miranda Kerr looks lovely, decked out in her scuba gear, I have noticed several errors in your image. There's no regulator strap attached to the valve, she is not wearing a wetsuit, and she lacks a dive buddy and other important safety measures and equipment. Though scuba diving is a relatively safe activity, it places women and men in hostile environments not to be tried with." It's quite amusing that Vogue decided to publish the reader's comment. The photo was not necessarily intended to accurately portray a scuba diver, but to create the fantasy of one. Legendary fashion editor for Harper's Bazaar and Vogue, Deanna Vreeland, described the objective of a fashion magazine. Quote, "You've got to give the people what they can't get at home. You've got to take them somewhere," she said. In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to take you on an exploration of deep sea and show you how it has fascinated and inspired not only editors, but designers. But before we dive into the topic, we must first look at the equipment actually used to explore the deep sea so we can understand how it has evolved and what fashion is actually referencing. Atmospheric diving suits used to explore the deepest depths of the ocean are engineering marvels. There are many factors developers must take into consideration when creating such a suit. By 1882, the Carminal brothers constructed the first successful atmospheric diving suit. The suit was complete with 22 joints and 25 ports on the helmet for the diver to see through. This metal structure allowed divers to explore the deep depths of the ocean and protect them from the bone-crushing pressures, while also protecting them from decompression sickness and below freezing temperatures. Although this was a huge technological step forward, the 830-pound suit rendered it unusable. In 1930, British diving engineer Joseph Salem Paresis unveiled his atmospheric diving suit, Tritonia. It was described as looking like a metallic science fiction creation come true, and it overcame the engineering challenges previously mentioned. Significant advancements, including a reduction in weight, replaced the steel with cast metal and improved its strength as well. On October 26, 1935, British designer Jim Jarrett used the Tritonia to explore the wreckage of the RMS Lusitania, 300 feet below. By 1916, the U.S. Navy developed its Mark V standard diving suit. This uniform allowed for greater mobility, but required the diver to sit in a decompression chamber after the dive to avoid the bends. For a 60-minute dive at a depth of 300 feet, a diver would need to decompress for 6.5 hours. In 1951, photographer Irving Penn captured the grandeur of a deep-sea diver in his complete uniform for Vogue. The copper helmet attaches to a vulcanized rubber canvas twill suit. A weighted belt and lead boots add extra weight to counterbalance the buoyancy of the diver, allowing him to sink to the bottom. In total, a standard diving suit can weigh well over 200 pounds. While a standard diving suit was used by the Navy throughout the 20th century, they were looking for a more streamlined suit for underwater combat divers during World War II. Dr. Hugh Bradner, a physicist from the University of California, Berkeley, was interested in developing a sleek and warm suit for the Navy. His breakthrough came when he realized he did not have to stay dry in order to stay warm. In 1949, he began experimenting with neoprene, a synthetic rubber foam that contains trapped air bubbles. This material allows a small amount of water to penetrate the suit, which is then warmed by the diver's body temperature. Despite the suit's novelty, the Navy rejected the design because the air bubbles were detectable under sonar. Bev Morgan, an avid surfer, later teamed up with the Monstrel brothers to commercially produce the suit. The brothers went on to build their surfing brand, Body Glove. Meanwhile, in San Francisco, another surfer, Jack O'Neill, began experimenting with ways to combat the frigid Bay Area temperatures, which rarely exceeded 50 degrees. He experimented with oil-soaked sweaters, vests made of PVC, but nothing was able to keep him warm enough. One of O'Neill's surfing buddies, pharmacist Henry Hind, suggested that O'Neill try neoprene because of its insulating properties. By 1956, O'Neill had fully developed his neoprene wetsuit and showcased it at a sporting goods trade show in San Francisco. O'Neill continued to improve his designs while creating his surfing empire. Alongside the wetsuit, Scuba Technology enabled ocean exploration to expand into mainstream culture. Previously, divers were restricted by the radius of the surface-supplied air through a hose. However, in 1942, engineer Émile Gagnon teamed up with Navy Lieutenant Jacques Cousteau to develop cylinders of compressed air that connected to an air hose and mouthpiece. Known as the aqualung, it extended the duration of dives and became one of the most popular self-contained underwater breathing apparatuses, or more commonly known as scuba. Cousteau was honored by Time magazine with a 9-page cover story that discussed the phenomenon of scuba diving, with more than 1 million people participating in the sport. Harper's Bazaar featured a 2-page underwater spread photographed by Louise Del Wolfe of Miss Gary Cooper and her daughter Maria wearing aqualungs. The copy reads, quote, "All the Coopers have been skin diving for the past 6 months and plan to treasure hunt in the Mediterranean waters. Their equipment is professional. They dive in neoprene frogmen suits made to duplicate the ones used by the Navy." Cousteau continues to influence popular culture as seen in Wes Anderson's film, The Life Aquatic, and on the fashion runways. L'Officiel featured a 2-page story highlighting images from the spring 2010 runway collection interspersed with photographs of Cousteau's deep-sea expeditions. The headline, "The Silent Fashion," played on the title of Cousteau's book and documentary, The Silent World. The copy reads, quote, "It is the call of the open sea that guides the fashion planet this summer. This season, the icon, the one, the only Commander Cousteau." Rachel Carson, a marine biologist and accomplished author, published her 1951 book, The Sea Around Us. It not only piqued public curiosity about the oceans, but was on the New York Times bestseller list for 86 weeks and was translated into 68 different languages. In May 1959, Harper's Bazaar featured a supplement, The 50s, that highlighted important events of the decade. It juxtaposed a mention of Cristobal Balenciaga introducing the color white into his collection with a story about the popularity of skin diving, writing, "Spurred on by Rachel Carson's The Sea Around Us and Jacques Cousteau's The Silent World, everybody from small boys to women old enough to know better have felt inclined to take the plunge." Beginning in the 1960s, society's fascination with deep-sea exploration inspired fashion magazines to feature female divers and their likeness in editorials. Vogue highlighted a glamorous photo of Valerie Taylor, a blonde Australian diver, elegantly floating next to an 8-foot whaler shark. The caption reads, "A small feminine diver who wears eye makeup behind her mask. Miss Taylor wears a blue ribbon in her blonde hair, fake eyelashes, and an orange wetsuit." The skin-tight fit of the wetsuit made it irresistible to the fashion world. The popularity of diving and surfing, coupled with Deanna Vreeland's predilection for photographing in exotic outdoor locales, brought adventurous editorials to fashion magazines. A Harper's Bazaar story titled "Fashion Below Sea Level" showcased a model taking on the role of an explorer. She dons a camouflage wetsuit while stretching across a tide pool overlooking the ocean. The pattern of the mossy rocks is reflected in the wetsuit. Harper's Bazaar commented on the pattern, quote, "The streaks particularly attractive beneath the foam, guaranteed to make the fish feel like they're simply part of life's rich patterns, and thereby not taking alarm." Photographer David Bailey caught the energetic splashes of his 2 favorite fashion models, Jean Shrimpton and Penelope Tree, jumping into the ocean sporting full wetsuits for a Vogue feature. Although their bodies are completely covered, the figures underneath are more exposed than normal because the wetsuits are made of nylon as opposed to neoprene. The playful nature of Bailey's photograph is highlighted in the commentary, quote, Here are our friends, Jean and Penelope, the shrimp and the tree, just grooving with it, scoobing, doobing, dancing on the sea spray. Two hale, happy water babies simply enjoying themselves in their own way. Editors began transitioning away from practical aspects of underwater survival gear to making references through accessories and styling. André Courrèges, best known for his space-age fashion designs, decided in spring 1970 that he wanted to explore scuba diving and created his version of the wetsuit nicknamed Scuba Duva by the fashion press. Vogue UK accessorized the ensemble with a faux scuba tank, mask, and snorkel. Grace Coddington, who would become the legendary fashion editor of American Vogue, stepped in when the model was late for the shoot. She playfully flutters her flippers while fixing her mask. The 1965 James Bond film Thunderball includes an epic 9-minute underwater fight scene that ignited the public's fascination with scuba diving. The film became a pop culture phenomenon and spurred a trend for underwater fashion editorials. Harper's Bazaar shot an underwater story in Acapulco titled On Land, in the Sea, It's Fluorescence, in which a model casually floats in a curved position with her hands waving to the camera. The double hose breathing apparatus, referred to as a rebreather, is the same style used by the villains in the fight scene. The magazine described the scene. Fashion Thunderball dives into the underwater world in full snorkel. Bikini top and skirt of yellow vinyl, glowing bright enough to make a fish blink. The caption mentions that the top and skirt were not actually meant to be worn underwater, which points out the stylist's creative licensing for the photo shoot. Lou Ficiel staged its own underwater fight with two models in Paris's Hotel Nico swimming pool for a story on scuba diving gear. The fight is meant as a metaphor, Lou Ficiel warns, quote, like the mountains, the sea is lively and temperamental. She does not like to be treated lightly. The exaggerated image was juxtaposed with an organized layout of essential scuba diving gear. To enhance the deep seas theme in editorials, photographers often placed models in elongated curved positions in order to give the illusion of being underwater. A full-page photograph by Hero features a model gracefully suspended in a rocky cavern, as if she were weightlessly floating, wearing a hooded tunic resembling the fitted headpiece used by scuba divers. The model's elongated legs and arms curve in an inverted L shape that mimic the shape of the cavern. An elegantly curved Christic Mcqueen stretches across 2 pages of Vogue as if she is diving into the water. Body glove booties, a scuba tank, and a regulator are used to accessorize her silver bikini. Throughout the 8-page editorial, diving gear is used to style the metallic swimsuits. The term tank is used in a variety of ways, including scuba tank, tank-style swimsuit, and think tank. Raquel Zimmerman models a Marni ensemble that could pass as a wetsuit, with white lines that highlight the seams. Diving accessories are almost non-existent in the feature, leaving the viewer reliant on visual cues to make the deep sea connection. A safety pin, bottle opener, and whistle hang from a Paco Rabanne chainmail bag that resembles a deep sea diver's net used to collect scientific data. The swinging motion of the bag, body, and laces create the illusion of Zimmerman gracefully floating underwater. In 1985, fashion designer Robin Piccone approached the wetsuit brand Body Glove about designing a line for the company. Within a year, Piccone had created a 50-piece collection of fluorescent designs that incorporated a lightweight version of neoprene. She presented her collection to the editors of Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, and Elle, recalling, quote, all the assistants wanted to keep all the pieces. In the end, I had to hide all my stuff because I was running out. Spreads featuring Body Glove began appearing in major fashion magazines, signaling that she had successfully transformed the wetsuit company into a fashion brand. 30 years later, body glove wetsuits are still being layered under fashion pieces, such as the Burberry trench coat seen here. Starting in 1989, top designers began using wetsuits as inspiration for their fashion collections. Bob Mackie, a designer to the stars, said to Vogue in 1989, "Sports are a way of life, so it comes naturally to take the athletic influence to clothes and then add a little dazzle." He designed an evening wear jumpsuit that glistened with bugle beads and featured a front zipper that referenced the closure of a surfer's wetsuit. Naomi Campbell showcased the athletic quality of the evening piece while running along the beach. Japanese fashion designer Junko Cascino took an avant-garde approach when designing neoprene coats in the late 1980s. She was one of the first designers to take advantage of the sculptural aspects of neoprene. Her collections ranged from fitted neoprene tailcoats to oversized parkas featuring turn locks like those used in beaver tail wetsuits. Donna Karan's fall 1994 collection for DKNY utilized neoprene fabric coated with nylon to create a feminine fuchsia dress with incredible volume. The curved seams shape the bodice of the dress similar to a corset and connect to a box-pleated skirt. Wetsuits were a major trend during the spring 1991 season. Donna Karan, Jeffrey Bean, and Karl Lagerfeld were all inspired by the zip-front surfing wetsuits. Andre Leon Talley dedicated 4 of the 18-page Vogue editorial to this trend. Fashion often misuses the term scuba by treating it as if it were a general term to describe surfing when it is actually an acronym for self-contained underwater breathing apparatus used for deep-sea diving. The red scuba watch header again misuses the term. However, since both sports utilize a wetsuit, the mix-up is understandable. Karl Lagerfeld designed sequin blazers that mimic the sleek fit of the wetsuits for the House of Chanel. Linda Evangelista walked the runway with a royal blue version while carrying a surfboard. The sequins glistened like the sleek surface of neoprene, and the black braid highlights the seams similar to a wetsuit. Lagerfeld explains, quote, "I simply took the sporting style of the surfer and stamped it out in sequins the color of California waves." Lagerfeld replaces the typical Chanel skirt with a pair of black lycra pedal pushers to give it a sportier look. Here are 2 more examples you can see from Alexander McQueen's Spring 2010 collection and Dolce & Gabbana's Fall 2016 collection, where they've quite literally created wetsuits for the runway. Tom Brown referenced surfing wetsuits in his men's Spring 2017 collection. The 3-part fashion show featured models wearing oversized neoprene wetsuits that were designed to look like his gray flannel suits. The models took the wetsuit off to reveal a colorful 3-piece suit embroidered with shark motifs. These suits were then unzipped in the back, revealing that the 3-piece suits were actually just a single wetsuit. Brown's innovative suits not only challenged the characteristics of neoprene, but changed fashion's perception of the wetsuit. Designers also referenced deep-sea equipment and the creatures found down below. Alexander McQueen's Spring 2010 collection, Plato's Atlantis, is described as one of the most innovative and breathtaking collections in recent fashion history. McQueen was an avid scuba diver, and his collection was inspired by a 2009 scuba diving trip to the Maldives. Journalist Sarah Maurer describes his collection as, quote, "casting an apocalyptic forecast of the future's ecological meltdown. Mankind is made up of creatures that evolved from the sea, and we may be heading back to an underwater future as the ice caps dissolve." McQueen referenced the standard diving suit and a green shot silk jumpsuit adorned with a jewel collar that extends up the length of the neck. Luminescent, voluminous circular tops and dresses made out of iridescent fabrics evoked bioluminescent creatures in the deepest reaches of the ocean. Many jellyfish are able to produce light, an ability known as bioluminescence. They have proteins in some tissues that undergo a chemical reaction to produce blue and green light in response to stimuli such as touch. A flash bright enough that could startle a predator. Within the collection, Mcqueen designed intricate computerized prints of fish, giant squid, and fictional animals. The shape of the dress was inspired by the silhouette of the manta, as can be seen on the hips. Dr. Sylvia Earle began exploring the oceans in 1953 and has spent 7,000 hours underwater. Through her 7 decades of exploration, she has witnessed the discovery of new ocean species and has also seen their destruction. In her 2014 documentary, Mission Blue, she explains the significance of our oceans as the main supplier of oxygen, poignantly stating, quote, "No ocean, no life. No ocean, no us." She has made it her mission to educate the public and to protect endangered parts of the oceans. As technology continues to advance, explorers are able to unearth new life forms. In the latter part of the 20th century, 2 new ecological systems were discovered, revealing that life could exist in the extreme conditions of the deep sea. Despite these findings, most of the ocean's floor is largely unknown, with only about 10% currently explored. Today, explorers are pushing the boundaries and depths of the ocean. In 2012, the filmmaker James Cameron of Titanic and Avatar fame became the 3rd person to reach the deepest depths of the ocean, known as Marianas Trench. The Deep Sea Challenger submersible was equipped with 3D cameras that allowed Cameron to film his expedition for a 2014 documentary. His findings continue to inspire further exploration and to expand the range of possibility regarding new habitats and life forms undersea. Back on dry land, groundbreaking fashion designer Iris van Herpen pushes the limits of material and silhouettes. Many of her collections feature designs that closely resemble structures and creatures found in the deep sea. Van Herpen's unique collections offer an avant-garde vision for the future, while deep sea explorers continue to ponder the possibility of life underwater. Thank you.